Hello and welcome to another Victoria 3 video. Now, I haven't done dev diary videos on this game for quite some time due to being a bit disillusioned with the way the development was going. But the game is out now. It's been out for about a week, and there is a new dev diary talking about the future of the game, and I do want to go over it and give my thoughts on what is being said there. But first of all, we got to talk about what kind of state Victoria 3 released in, and well, for starters, let us get over to the Steam page. So the Steam reviews, there's over 10,000 Steam reviews at this point, and the result is that it is mixed. 63% of the 10,400 user reviews are positive. So there's almost 40% of people who do not recommend the game. If you search it by the amount of playtime, if you do over 1 hour, that does change slightly. It goes up, to 64%. If you change it to over 10 hours, I imagine it'll go even higher, 67%. But no matter what range you go, it is mixed. Now, you could say this is understandable. You could say it is outrageous. You could say it is totally unreasonable. Do you think Victoria 3 is worth a 6 out of 10 as a game? Well, it doesn't matter, does it? Because the Steam reviews is not a indication of what these people rate the game. It is a binary yes or no to the question, do you recommend this game? So I really do think it needs to be emphasized that a 63% mixed rating on Steam means that 63% of people say yes to recommending the game. Whether they recommend it at a 10 out of 10, or whether they still recommend it even though they rate it a 4 out of 10, it's still a positive in Steam's eyes. And it is very different to the likes of IGN or PC Gamer or Metacritic or whatever, giving it a rating of 6.3 out of 10. That's very, very different things, and I really do think it needs to be emphasized. But anyway, let's have a look at the patch notes that came out yesterday, because I do think they are quite interesting. There's some interesting stuff in here that hopefully is going to do some good for the game. So, firstly, we got in the economy, petty bourgeoisie now care about government wages. Slashing government wages now reduces prestige. This is actually quite important, because slashing government wages is something I kind of always did, because I thought intelligentsia, they're usually pretty happy. Making them -5 happiness is not that much of a problem. Slashing military wages reduces training rate. What training rate is? It's probably something important. How fast people reinforce or something like, I don't know. The warfare system is really bad, so I don't know. Something to do with debt slavery. I haven't really worked with a country with debt slavery, so I can't say really what that is. Again, more debt slavery, more debt slavery. I need to play a country with debt slavery. I just haven't yet, so I can't really say what this is going to do to your game. I'm not even sure which countries have debt slavery. Is that maybe like Spain? Does Spain have it? I thought they had legacy slavery. I don't know. Anyway, politics, some interesting stuff here. Increase the chance of progressive political movements appearing over the course of the game. Cool, that seems perfectly reasonable. Trying to pass through multiculturalism is much easier if you've got a political movement for it, after all. Movements to preserve now have a larger effect on the chance for a law to stall, making it harder to pass laws opposed by powerful groups. This is going to make Japan really, really, really difficult. Japan was already a very difficult nation to play because of the shogunate being so immensely powerful, and your need to remove the laws that empower the shogunate interest group. So there's going to be more stalling on your RNG chance, meaning the really kind of awkward and, in my opinion, awful RNG law passing mechanic is just going to get a little bit more frustrating for Japan. And yeah, that's fun, I guess. Political movements for or against changes in slavery and government principle laws will now be more radical. So if you're playing as the USA and you want to get rid of slavery, it should be a bit more difficult. We'll get back to that in a moment, because it just isn't. Reduced base effective propagandist intelligence, your trait from blah blah blah, whatever. Just minor little numbers tweaks. I don't really care about numbers tweaks. Reduced effective guaranteed liberties on loyalists and radicals growth. I don't know why they did that. Guaranteed liberties is good for gaining loyalists, but you always had more radicals than loyalists anyway, and loyalists didn't really seem to do much at all. So we now have less of those if you go with this law than what you would have previously. Is that a good thing? I don't know. Native uprisings now get a significant bonus to their combat capabilities, mainly on the defensive. Why? No one really cared about native uprisings. They were never a threat to anyone. They will still not be a threat to anyone. It's just a, oh, they're now stronger, yay. And what? Reduce the chance of native uprisings occurring when provinces are colonized. Native uprisings did mean that you colonize faster. So if you, for example, start colonizing Sulawesi, or if you're, for example, the USA and the Great Sioux Nation had a native uprising immediately, then, oh, nice, I've just gotten myself a very cheap and immediate big boost to the amount of land that I have, because it was so easy to conquer them. I would say it's actually still too easy, but yeah, it is what it is. AI is a bit less likely to back down diplomatic plays. Yeah, I mean, it is, but I mean, I've played one little campaign. It's actually the campaign that you see here. If I zoom out, I'm doing a little bit of a practice for the United States, and well, Mexico backed down within a week for my first conquest on them. The Great Sioux Nation, they had a native uprising, and then they backed down within a week. So I'm not really sure I agree that they will be less likely to back down. It seems just as likely, unfortunately. So what else do we have? The AI has been more keen on swaying countries to its side if outmatched in diplomatic play. Nice. That would be quite nice to see. Maybe they will be less likely to back down if that's the case. I don't know. More likely to get involved in diplomatic plays is nice as well. In warfare, the AI is more focused on taking land-adjacent states and conquering contiguous land areas in general. Again, this is going to be a very important thing for Egypt, and as you can see, they've actually taken contiguous states. So all of you people who are wanting to play as Greece and form Byzantium, the game just got a bit harder for you. Sorry. But yeah, that is what it is. Increased AI aggression against unrecognized countries after unlocking civilization mission. That's kind of cool. I like that. That's a flavorful war update. That's flavorful. I like it. Increased AI tendency to get involved in native uprisings slightly. I never have seen the AI do this, so I didn't even know it was a thing that they could do. Improving the tooltips, the predictions. The predictions are always going to be wrong. I don't think it's possible for them to be absolutely perfect. But if it's improving even a little bit, then that's a good thing, of course. Some bug fixes as well. Flotillas now regain morale as intended after naval battles. Huzzah! If you watched my Japan stream from last night, you'll have seen that my flotilla lost a battle to the Spanish in like 1860 and hadn't regained their morale by the time we fought the Spanish in 1895 or something stupid. Like it was a bit mental. So yeah, now that's good. Fix a bug where capitulating in one war could cause your generals in another war to stand by. Yep, teleporting generals back home, getting rid of that's good. Additional check to prevent monuments from being targeted in tutorial. I haven't done the tutorial, I don't know. Added a check to the declare interest tutorial that was miscounted the maximum, whatever. Fixed issue where investment pool could be used for disallowed building types. I never noticed that. So yeah, just lots of bug fixes. Political movements now start organizing a revolution at 50 radicalism rather than 100. Okay, interesting. I wonder if you are able to still tweak things at like 60 radicalism or something. Is that just going to mean we're going to have more rebellions in general? I don't know. Um, fix some crashes to desktop again. Is there anything about the... nothing about zooming into an army. So yeah, no fixes to that. But yeah, those are the bug fixes. These are already in your game. These, if you've opened Steam in the past 24 hours, this is already in. So enjoy that, I guess. But now we go to Dev Diary number 64, the post-release plans, and just zoom out just a bit so we can see everything. The post-release plans. Posted to, it was posted today for me. You'll be seeing this tomorrow for me. But anyway, let's have a look at this. Hello and welcome to the first of many post-release Victoria 3 Dev Diaries. The game may now be out at last. Weird, isn't it? But for us, it just means a different phase of work has begun. The work of post-release support. We've been quite busy collecting feedback, fixing bugs, and making balance changes, and now working on free patches that will follow the release, the first of which is a hotfix that you should already have. It's the one that I've just talked about. Our plans are naturally not limited to just hotfixes though, so the topic of this dev diary is to outline what you can expect us to be focusing on in the first few larger free patches. We'll not be focusing on our long-term ambitions for the game today, certainly have no shortage of cool ideas for where we could take Vicky 3 in the years to come, but right now the focus is on post-release support and patches, not expansion plans. Alright, a big worry that I've seen, or conspiracy theory almost, is that Vicky 3 is bad because they plan to just nickel and dime us with tons and tons of DLC. And I have been as critical as anyone when it comes to Victoria 3 with the things that I dislike about the game. And yeah, no, that's not a conspiracy that I'm going to be buying into. I will defend Paradox forever because they have very much changed their DLC policy in the past few years. And if we do see fixes and radical overhauls to certain systems, they will not be DLC. If Warfare is fixed to the level that I want it to be fixed, it's going to be free. It won't be a patch. It's ludicrous to assume that these overhaul mechanics-wise will be in DLC. It just won't happen. Before we start, this is Wiz, wants to share his personal thoughts on the release. Overall, I consider the release a great success and have been blown away by the sheer amount of people who have bought and are playing Victoria 3. Yeah, I mean, 63% on Steam, I wouldn't argue that's a great success. It's lower than CK3 was on release. It's higher than Imperator Rome was on release, but I think only Imperative Rome and maybe March of the Eagles beats it for negative Steam releases. Whether that matters to you or to them, it's totally up to you guys, but I wouldn't call it a great success. The amount of controversy surrounding the game, surrounding the decisions behind the game, surrounding the concepts behind certain elements of the game is way, way higher than for any Paradox release I've ever seen. So, great success. I mean, I don't know. Has been blown away by the sheer amount of people that have bought and are playing Vicky 3. He's had a hand in the project since its earliest design inception, and that's like 2013 or something was the earliest conception. And he's been game director of Victoria 3 since he left Stellaris in late 2018. While it certainly hasn't been the easiest game to work on at times, it's by far the most interesting and fulfilling project he's ever directed. The overarching vision of the game, a society builder that puts internal development, economy and politics in the driving seat, may not have changed much since then, but the mechanics and systems have gone through innumerable iterations. A prominent internal joke in the team is, just one more market rework, please. To arrive where we are today, what I consider to be a great game, one that lives up to our vision, the one that could do with improvement in a few key areas. Yeah, I mean, if you gotta have faith in your own project, so I can't really fault him for sharing his opinion, even if I disagree with it. So, here are the post-release plans. So, what do we got here? Warfare, generals, improve unit selection for battles, balance, overall progression among fronts, ability to set strategic objectives. This is going... Okay, so they've confirmed now, I guess, that this is going to be a thing. This previously was a... we'll consider it. So that's interesting. That's very interesting that they're actually fully confirming that they're going down this path. Increase visibility of navies and make admirals easy to work with. Yeah, please. Improve unit selection for battles and balance protection among fronts. Yes, please. Visualize overview of military situation and expose more data. Yes, please. Solutions for when theaters split into multiple fronts. This is a big part of why I am complaining about the concept. Experiment with controlled front splitting for longer fronts. Okay, so being able to create your own fronts then is what I read from this. They're not saying that they're going to change warfare to be a units on map system, which, you know, if they'd said that, I'd have been incredibly happy. I know that would be also just as controversial at this point. But anyway, they're going to talk more about warfare in the dev diary, so we won't focus on this just yet. Historical immersion. Tweak the AI to play in a more believable and immersive way. Make the American Civil War happen more frequently. Yeah, please. In a way that makes sense and not easily avoidable by the player. Yeah, it's pretty avoidable right now. It just is. Whatever. Make the AI succeed more often at content such as the Meiji Restoration Elastic Purchase. Yeah, the AI is never going to succeed at the Meiji Restoration. It just is not ever going to do that in the current way that the game works. It's basically impossible for the AI to do it. Exposed and improved content such as expeditions and journal entries. Can I also add to this? Making decisions a bit more visible. If I have an available decision, I should have a button, or I should have a notification about it, for starters, and also the ability to turn that notification off. As the USA, as soon as you finish the nationalism technology, you get a decision for Manifest Destiny, which you will get absolutely no pop-up of at all, and you just have to know that that is there. That's just not good enough. Exposed improved content such as expeditions and journal entries. Yep, the map the West and whatever it's called for America, also just unreasonably annoying for the expedition. Hate it. Have nation unifications happen more according to historical schedule and make unifying in Italy in particular more difficult. But hopefully not for the AI, because the AI, I don't know if anyone else has seen this, but I have never seen the AI form Germany. Never. It just never happens. Italy, maybe like 8 out of 10 games I'll see Italy, but Germany, 0. Absolutely 0. And North German Confederation is like a 4 out of 10. For diplomacy, add reverse swaying, the ability to offer to join a side in a play in exchange for something. Yes, please, that would be fantastic, thank you. Add the ability to expand your primary demands in a diplomatic play beyond just one war goal. Yes, please, thank you. That would be amazing for the USA, as you'd be able to say, no, I want all of my return states, please. If you give me all of my return states, then you can back down for all of them. I do think return states should maybe be just a full single war goal on its own and not have to choose between them. Or you maybe can have return all states be a war goal and still have the individuals as well. That might be nice. Add more things to do to offer in diplomatic plays. Yes. Remove interest in region could be a good one. But yeah, definitely more things could be offered there. Add the option to trade states. It's wild, absolutely wild that this was not in on release. Just insane that it was not in on release. Considering the fact that modders were able to add in a give state and revoke state for vassals within, well, give state to anyone and revoke state for vassals within days of the game's release, proves that it is not a difficult or intense amount of coding work needed. The fact that it was not in on release is mind-boggling. Foreign investment, also mind-boggling that this was not a part of the release, especially in your vassal's land. Absolutely mind-boggling that this was not in. How? One of the major features of Victoria 2, and it was just forgotten about. I don't understand how that was possible. Improve and expand on interactions with and from subjects. Yeah, just more of that. If diplomacy is supposed to be in the forefront, just like actually make it in the forefront. And for other, make it easier to get an overview of your pops and pop factors. Yeah, better UI would be much appreciated. Experiment with some autonomous private sector construction and increase the differences in gameplay between different economic systems. Tweak the late game economy and the AI's ability to develop key resources. Yep, fine. That would be very handy as well. The AI is absolutely abhorrently bad at developing its oil and rubber industry, which makes the late game basically impossible to enjoy, because you're forced to do wild ahistorical conquests. Like in my Japan game, I have conquered Texas and Rio Grande for their oil. It's wild that that is necessary. It really shouldn't be. And I understand you can't see this last one, so I'll just move myself up here for now. Make playing a conservative, autocratic style more interesting and viable, but also more challenging. Yeah, okay, I can agree with that one as well. That'd be nice. Because at the moment, the meta, if you will, is liberalizing. Multiculturalism is insanely strong. Far too strong, in fact. And it really should not be anywhere near that level. Being able to accept every single pop, just insane. Like, I don't understand how that was permissible, really. Especially when Victoria 2 had such a limited amount of pop acceptance. It was a decision you had to take, and you only got, like, it was very railroaded, I will say, but you would only get a certain number of cultures that you could accept, which made it so that each country really had a limited amount of expansion potential or expansion venues. As France, you weren't going to go and conquer into the middle of Germany because you couldn't really make use of the German pops because you didn't accept them, and there was no way to accept them. But I think that's too harsh, and I think Vicky 3 is too lenient. There needs to be some middle ground between multiculturalism, which is kind of ahistorical for this period, and before you say, oh, but there were countries that accepted, there was still massive amounts of racism in absolutely every single country on the map. It's insane that there is the ability to just accept everyone. It shouldn't be a thing. But yeah, let's dive a little bit deeper. So for warfare, the military system, being very different from the military systems of previous grand strategy games, yep, is one of those systems that has gone through a lot of iterations. And we settled on the worst one. Well, I believe we've landed on a very solid core, I would disagree with that, of how we want military gameplay in Victoria 3 to function, and we have no intention of moving back towards a more tactical system. Well, that's a big, fat fucking disappointment, isn't it? Also, it's a big fucking fat lie, really. Improve, hang on, where is it? Ability to set strategic objectives is a more tactical system. I know what you're saying here is we're not adding units on map that you can move around. But going towards a more tactical system is setting strategic objectives. That's just a thing. I also hate, I really fucking hate this false idea in the community right now that there is two methods of warfare. You've got strategic warfare, which is what Vicky 3 is somehow, and then you've got tactical warfare, which is what, you know, the standard Paradox model is, and moving men on a map is tactics, but what we want is some, because we are superior, is more strategic. It's like, no, fuck that, it's fucking stupid. Moving men on a map, and that's strategy. Deciding where your people are, it's strategy. Like, it's a grand strategy game, and it really seems like a lot of the community are using tactical combat as some kind of fucking insult, or, you know, to belittle people who dislike this combat system. It's hilarious in how delusional that is, but also just plain wrong. It's sad to see the devs also kind of leaning into this idea that the standard Paradox model is tactics. It's because it just isn't. It just isn't. It's sad that they're not going to go back to it. I didn't think they would be, but hey, maybe if this doesn't change, maybe if this continues to be mixed. It continues to have that 63 turn into like a 62 and 61 and then go further and further south. Maybe having no plans doesn't mean it will never happen. You never know. It's a system that suffers from interface woes. Could do more with selective deepening and increasing player control in specific areas. So you want this is the thing. This is why I think the concept is just flawed in and of itself, because the concept is to have a hands-off system, and now to fix it, to make it more fun for people, you're adding more player agency. Like, you're backtracking on your concept because your concept is crap. A few things we're looking into improving and expanding on for the military system follow here in no particular order. It's literally what we've just read. It's literally what we just read, so we don't need to read it again. Yeah, I mean, these are all good changes. Literally, they are all improvements on the concept. The fact is, though, the concept is flawed and bad. Moving away from the concept, which is what this is, moving away from the concept is a good thing, though. It just objectively is a good thing to move away from the flawed concept. So, anyway, moving on. Historical immersion. While we've always been upfront with the fact that Vicky 3 is a historical sandbox rather than a strictly historical game, we want players to feel as though the events unfolding forms a plausible old history, and right now there's some expected historical outcomes that are either not happening or often enough, or happening in such a way that they become immersion breaking. Again, no particular order, some areas targeted, blah blah blah. Again, this is the same as above, so we're not going to read it, but things like the 1848 rebellion across Europe, I think should be scripted, because the elements for that to occur are already in place at the start of the game. That really should be a thing. Meiji Restoration, I'd like to see more of. The formation of Germany could be a thing that eventually happens at any point. Although here they say ensuring unifications don't constantly happen decades ahead of their historical schedule. I mean, for players, yeah, players are forming Germany way too fast. The A aren't forming Germany at all. So it's like, how do you balance that? Well, I think through scripting is really how it needs to be done. But yeah, there should be a little bit more in the way of scripting, for sure. They're also balancing cultural and religious tolerance laws by having more restrictive laws increase the loyalty of accepted pops, so there's an actual trade-off involved. That's nice, because religion is completely irrelevant at this point. It's just really irrelevant. So yeah, changing this, really nice, actually. The state religion getting less radicals and more loyalists, cool, good. Third area is diplomacy. While you think you have a quite good and not in need of significant redesign, it's an area that could do with more deepening and some options. They want to add diplomacy and diplomatic plays. I would agree with that. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with diplomacy. It just needs more. I do want them to add in, like, I'm sad that this is not an extra bullet point here. The ability to coax more people into a war after it started, and the ability to add more war goals after the war started. Those two need to be in some way, because that's just how fucking history worked. World War I is within this time period, and if World War I in real life followed the logic of the diplomatic plays in Victoria 3, World War I would be between Austria and Serbia, and no one else. Say World War I breaks out and is going, Italy, you're not joining the war at all, because you just don't get to. You don't get to add any war goals for yourself, for the rest of your allies to not select in the peace deal. This system is missing quite a bit, but the base concepts of it are pretty solid. While those are the major areas targeted for improvement, there are also things that fall outside the scope of warfare, historical immersion, and diplomacy, which we've heard feedback on what to make improvements. So again, it's stuff up in the top. Easier overview for those things. Experimenting with autonomous private sector construction. So this is maybe a little bit about the laissez-faire system that's been a little bit controversial recently. I'd be pretty happy to see some kind of autonomous private sector construction. Again, though, it is kind of going against the concept of the game itself. The major primary gameplay loop is constructing buildings and seeing how that construction makes line go up. So having it be autonomous it's going to be a fine balance between preventing tedium, which is what is kind of needed in the mid to late game. Autonomous would prevent tedium, but at the same time, it needs to not be so strong that you actually don't have a game anymore. Yeah, ironing out the kinks. Would you please give us oil and rubber? Like, it's just crazy at this point. One of the first mechanics they're tweaking is legitimacy, increasing its impact and making it so the share of votes in government matters far more, especially with more democratic laws. That'd be nice to see as well. Legitimacy at the moment seems to only be the main effect that I've seen is in the speed at which you can pass laws. If you have low legitimacy and don't plan on passing any laws, it kind of just doesn't matter that much. It really just doesn't matter. So yeah, making it matter more, good thing. The above is, of course, not even close to being an exhaustive list of everything we want to do, and I can't promise that everything on the list is going to make it into the first few patches, or that our priorities won't change as we continue to read and take in the feedback, only that as it stands, these are the plans for the near future. Also remind once again that everything mentioned above is something they want for free post-release patches, not DLC. At some point they'll start talking about the plans for expansions. It's not anytime soon. They gotta fix the game before they can justify selling you more stuff to do with the game. So I guess they've learned. What I can promise, though, is that we're going to strive to keep you informed and do our best to give you insight into the post-release development process with dev diaries, videos, and streams, just like we did before the game was released. Okay, so next week they're going to start talking of the first post-release patch. Okay, I mean, this is the first post-release patch, but, you know, the next one's cool. Yeah, so my thoughts are the changes are good. All of this is good. It's not exactly what I want. It's not enough, but it's on the right path. Would I say the military stuff is on the right path? Probably not. It's like we're in a branch of a tree, and going down one branch of the tree is gonna mean like a really interesting warfare system that I will personally enjoy. And that branch is like, it's long. It's got fucking flowers at the end, some apples on there. It's great. Love that tree. Love that branch. On the other branch, it's still going in the same direction towards the sun, but the branch kind of cuts off at the end. It doesn't. There's no fruit there for me to enjoy. Going in the right direction, but it's not. This is a terrible analogy. What am I doing? I hope you understand what I mean. I would like deeper warfare. More interesting warfare, more agency-filled warfare, and while this does add more agency, it's not enough for me. But we'll see where it goes. But anyway, that is the dev diary for Victoria 3, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be continuing to play Victoria 3 in the meantime. I'll continue to stream it. I'll continue to complain and critique it. And I hope you'll stick around with me for that as well. So, without further ado, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. If you liked the video, please help me out and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Maybe leave a comment down below too, it really does help out the channel. If you have the means and are willing to, there's a link to my Patreon in the description below. It's the best way to support me and the effort that goes into creating the content you've just watched, and hopefully will continue to watch, and allows me to focus more on making videos without the stress and worry of another meteor striking my channel, be it hacks, demonetization, or the third adpocalypse. You can also support me by heading over to Twitch and following there, or joining my Discord and being an active member of the community. All those links are in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.